So you're curious about T20 cricket leagues, right? Specifically, the big ones in South Asia, the Indian Premier League and the Pakistan Super League.
Yeah, lots of buzz around both, lots of comparisons thrown about.
Exactly. And you probably want the real story, the key differences, maybe some surprising facts, but without getting totally bogged down in, endless stats.
Well, that's what we're aiming for today. We've sifted through the info, the news, the analysis on both the IPL and the PSL.
Consider this your shortcut, basically, a deep dive to get you up to speed on what makes each league tick.
Okay, so let's just quickly set the scene. We've got the Indian Premier League, that's the IPL. It started up in 2008,
Run by the BCCI, the Indian Cricket Board.
right? And then there's the Pakistan Super League, the PSL. That one's newer, launched in 2015 by the Pakistan Cricket Board, the PCB.
Both T20 format, fast-paced games. Big difference in size, though, right off the bat.
Yeah, the IPL currently has 10 teams, and the whole tournament runs for about 2 months.
Whereas the PSL is, 6 teams? And it's much shorter, like a month or so.
Correct. Both feature international stars alongside local players, which is crucial.
And viewership, IPL's is just massive, huge global reach. PSL's is growing, definitely strong internationally, especially with overseas Pakistanis.
Absolutely. And, these basic facts, the founding dates, the size, that really shape everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, let's dive into the big one first. The money. Because, wow, the IPL is just on another planet financially.
Uh-huh. The numbers are pretty stark.
So in 2023, the IPL's brand value was estimated at over $10.7 billion. Just let that sink in. Billion with a B.
Yeah, it's staggering. And for the PSL, the estimate is more in the region of around $400 million plus.
A huge gap. And that shows up in team values, too. An average IPL team.
Yeah.
Worth over $1 billion.
Well, a PSL team, on average, is valued somewhere between, say, $30 and $50 million.
And player salaries tell a similar story. The absolute top players in the IPL can pull in up to $2.5 million for a season.
And in the PSL, the highest salary bracket is around $170,000 per season.
So the financial difference is just immense. It's not even close.
It really isn't. And it's not just about, who has the bigger wallet. This financial power lets the IPL build this incredible spectacle, attract massive investment.
Infrastructure, player recruitment, everything.
Exactly. It shapes the entire cricket ecosystem around it in a way that PSL at its current scale simply can't replicate.
And you see this in the broadcast and sponsorship deals, too. ITL deals are in the billions. You've got giants like Star Sports, GeoCinema involved.
Mm-hmm.
The PSL's deals are, significant for its market, millions, not billions, with partners like PTD Sports, A Sports, Tamasha locally.
So no question, IPL is the richest T20 league. But what's interesting, and the material points this out, is that the PSL is still seen as really competitive on the field.
Right, despite that huge financial gap.
How does it manage that? What do you think allows the PSL to stay so competitive?
Well, that's a really interesting point. Well, the IPL can, potentially stack teams with global superstars because of the money.
Yeah, the PSL, perhaps partly because of its player draft system, might achieve a more, let's say, balanced distribution of talent. Plus, there's a real focus on its core Pakistani players who are super motivated.
The draft versus the auction, we should definitely get into that later.
For sure. But yeah, maybe that structure helps maintain the on-field competition.
Okay, so moving on from money to global buzz and popularity. The IPL's reach is phenomenal, right?
Undeniably. It's got a massive global following.
You can see why. You've got the absolute cream of Indian talent, plus almost every big international name you can think of.
It's star power on a huge scale.
And then there's the whole entertainment package, the sort of Bollywood meets cricket vibe.
Yeah, that cricketainment factor.
Which really resonates, especially within India and the diaspora. And let's be honest, the size of the Indian domestic market alone gives it a colossal advantage.
Definitely. They tapped into this huge, passionate cricket fan base and just amplified it massively through smart marketing and, well, a really slick product.
Now, the PSL, it doesn't have that same global footprint, obviously, but it has a really passionate, loyal following.
Especially in Pakistan and among Pakistanis living abroad, yeah. It's very strong there.
And the thing that keeps coming up in the sources about the PSL is its reputation for quality cricket, particularly the fast bowling.
Ah, yes, the pace attack. That's almost because it's trademark. Pakistan's traditional strength, really.
And the matches are often described as being really competitive, going down to the wire.
Yeah, lots of close finishes. And they've been pretty smart with their digital presence, too, connecting well with fans online.
So it's like each league is playing to its strengths, isn't it? IPL uses its scale, stars, and entertainment angle.
And the PSL leans into the quality of the cricket itself, the bowling, and that deep connection with its core fan base.
Right. Let's talk about what happens on the pitch then. Performance, competition level. Who's been winning?
Okay, so in the IPL, the most successful team historically is the Mumbai Indians. They got 5 titles.
And for the PSL, it's Islamabad United leading the pack with 2 championships.
Now, comparing the actual standard of play, the material we looked at calls the IPL level very high.
Which makes sense, given the sheer density of world-class players in pretty much every team.
Exactly. The PSL is described as high-level competition, but with that special mention, again, for the quality of the bowling attacks.
Okay, so the IPL has top international bowlers too. What do you think gives the PSL that particular edge or reputation for fast bowling specifically?
That's a good question. It could be partly just the historical focus in Pakistan cricket on developing pacers, that pipeline.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, the draft system allows teams to specifically target and secure those top local fast bowlers more strategically than in the frenzy of an IPL auction.
Interesting theory. What about bringing through young players? Both leagues seem crucial for that.
Oh, absolutely vital. The IPL taps into India's huge domestic talent pool, gives young guys incredible exposure.
Playing alongside and against the best in the world.
Exactly. And the PSL has done a similar job for Pakistan cricket. It's been a launching pad for some really exciting talents.
The sources mention Shaheen Afridi and Shadab Khan specifically.
Yeah, prime examples of players who really made their mark in the PSL and then starred internationally.
So it underlines that both leagues aren't just about the big stars now. They're also building the future of T20 cricket for their countries.
Definitely a key role they both play.
Okay, let's dig into some of the structural differences. Team ownership, for instance, that seems quite different.
It is, yeah. In the IPL, you see big corporations like Reliance, but also major celebrities, Bollywood stars like Shah Rukh Khan owning teams.
A real mix of corporate giants and high-profile individuals.
Whereas the PSL ownership seems more weighted towards established businessmen and some media houses.
How might that difference in who owns the teams affect things, do you think?
Well, you could argue the heavy corporate presence in the IPL brings a very sort of business-driven, maybe brand-focused approach. Long-term financial strategy might be paramount. The PSL ownership, still business-focused, of course, might have slightly different dynamics or perhaps varying levels of, deep pockets across the board, which could influence spending.
Right. And then there's how they actually get the players. This is a big one. IPL has the auction.
The famous player auction. Quite a spectacle itself. Teams bidding fiercely.
Very dramatic. The PSL uses a player draft instead. Can you unpack the pros and cons of auction versus draft?
Sure. The auction is exciting, creates buzz.
Yeah.
But it can lead to inflated prices, bidding wars, and potentially imbalances, right? Teams might overspend on one star.
Yeah, you see that happen.
The draft system, used by the PSL, usually involves preset salary brackets and a defined order for teams to pick players. The aim is generally for a more controlled and equitable spread of talent.
So fairer distribution, perhaps.
Yeah.
But maybe less flexibility for a team to go all out for one specific player they desperately want.
That's pretty much the trade-off, yeah. Less freedom, potentially more balance.
And the match day experience, the atmosphere. IPL is known for packed stadiums, right? Just electric energy.
Absolutely. Huge crowds. Very vibrant. The PSL's journey with crowds has been a bit more complex.
Because they had to play in the UAE for a while.
Exactly. For security reasons initially. But the material notes that attendance has been improving significantly, especially now that almost all matches are back in Pakistan.
How big a deal has that return home been for the PSL?
Oh, massive. Huge. It connects the teams directly with their home fans, builds that local identity, creates a proper home advantage. It's been incredibly important for the league's growth and feel.
Makes sense. Okay, final structural point. International stars. IPL seems to get pretty much everyone, doesn't it?
By and large, yes. The money, the exposure.
Yeah.
It's the top destination for almost every elite T20 player.
The PSL gets international players too, but the sources mention sometimes top players skip it, maybe due to scheduling, politics, or past security worries.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. While they still attract good overseas talent, they perhaps haven't consistently had that absolute top tier across the board in the way the IPL manages to.
How much does that impact the leagues, do you think, that difference in star density?
Well, the constant stream of the world's very best players certainly adds to the IPL's global glamour and perceived quality standard.
Right.
The PSL, having slightly less consistent access to that absolute top echelon, might subtly affect its global image, even if the actual cricket being played is still very high quality, especially the bowling, as we've said.
Okay, let's try and boil this down. Quick pros and cons for each based on everything we've covered. IPL first. Pros.
Okay, pros for IPL. Huge global appeal, top-tier competition, massive salaries, attracting the best, great platform for Indian talent.
Cons. The sources mentioned the length. It's a long tournament, potential for player burnout.
Yeah, player fatigue, and it contributes to that already jam-packed cricket schedule.
Okay. Now, PSL. Pros.
Pros for PSL. That highly competitive bowling, uncovering new Pakistani stars, generally seen as cost-effective and well-run.
And the shorter format means intense action, quick excitement.
Exactly. Cons for PSL. Sometimes missing those very top international names and those earlier struggles with fan attendance, though that's improving.
Right. So it leads inevitably to the which is better question, which, is probably the wrong question to ask.
It usually is.
Okay.
The material doesn't pick a winner, and that feels right.
It sums it up nicely, I think. It says the IPL is just clearly bigger. Money, reach, the whole show.
Undeniably bigger. But it frames the PSL as leaner, maybe, but really respected for the quality of the actual cricket.
Especially the pace bowling, the tight finishes, that comes through strongly.
Ultimately, they both serve a massive purpose, don't they? The IPL changed the game globally, financially.
And the PSL, even on a smaller budget, carved out its own identity based on fierce competition and has been crucial for Pakistan cricket.
Yeah, both are vital parts of the T20 landscape now.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive on the IPL and PSL, you've seen these two really successful but quite different models for T20 leagues. One's a global giant, the other is a highly competitive, respected league punching maybe above its financial weight.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Go on.
Considering these huge differences in money, what does a PSL's reputation for such tough competition and brilliant bowling actually tell us about what really makes a sports league successful and engaging? For fans, for players.
Is it just about having the most cash? Or are other things, maybe smart structures, national passion, focusing on specific strengths just as important, or even more so in some ways?
Something to ponder.
Definitely. And hey, if this dive made you think of other questions, maybe you want to know about specific team rivalries or dig into the auction versus draft more, or even fantasy leagues for IPL and PSL.
Let us know. We're always looking for the next topic to explore.
Absolutely. But for now, that concludes our deep dive. Keep thinking, keep questioning.